Are you in search of a pharmacy for all your medical needs? Check out my guy Jason Hu's Skylands Pharmacy and Compounding, located at 337 US 46 Rockaway, New Jersey, zip code 07866, serving all of New York and New Jersey. They specialize in compounding sildenafil for male erectile dysfunction, as well as semaglutide and tirzepatide for weight loss. They come to you with an amazing delivery service, so don't worry about having to come in person. Once again, check out Skylands Pharmacy and Compounding in Rockaway, New Jersey by my guy Jason Hu was the first guy to buy my merch. You can call them at 973-559-7979. That's 973-559-7979. Proud partner of the DJ Sports Show.
That guy's always late, man. I haven't seen him either. Oh! Hey, it's the Capper!
Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move.
We're on the move.
Ain't no stopping us now.
We're on the groove. We're on the groove.
All right. Hey, I was getting loose. What you guys think?
7. We're on? I didn't know we're on. You gotta tell me, fellas. I'm here with 2 physical specimens from the Northeast Conference, a couple of real studs. These guys are slapped together.
Roses are red.
Violets are blue.
When I dunk.
I think of you.
Wow. Unbelievable. Another beautiful. I smell an Emmy. Well, you guys saw me slamming some steel, working the pythons a little bit. Pretty buff, huh? What do you think? What do you think?
To work out some more.
What do you think, baby?
Kappa, it's over. All right. So. Come on, you're not Schwarzenegger.
Who, Schwarzenegger? I love it. Court's adjourned.
As you know, in life and basketball, and now holding court, only the strong survive.
That would be Tim Capstraw.
I don't think they get their toughness has to go to a whole nother level. I think teams are making shots against them, and that's frustrating. You know, you got to get, but you got to make them miss sometimes too. I think the Nets they have plus defenders on this roster. You can get up, you can get into people, you can get deflections. What they haven't done, Chris, is they haven't gotten steals, they haven't gotten deflections, again, you got to make people miss. You got to invade their personal space. You got to be physical. Watch what the Heat do to the Nets. That's what the Nets got to do to everybody.
Make them uncomfortable.
Make them uncomfortable. You got be a close talker.
Now we're going Seinfeld.
No, so whatever you do.
Be a sidler.
Yeah,
that's what you got to do.
Very good.
All right.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, DJ Hamilton of DJ Sports Show. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And if you listen to audio platforms I'm on, make sure you guys do a 5-star rating and share anybody you know who loves sports. We have a great big guest here for you guys today. He is, he really doesn't need no introduction. I'm going to introduce him anyway. He's for over 20 years, he's been a radio announcer and broadcaster for the Brooklyn Nets. He was one of the, broadcasters for the 2012 men's basketball gold medal team at the London Olympics. He also coached at the D1 level for Wagner College, his alma mater, for a decade, where he was the 1992 Northeast Conference Men's Basketball Coach of the Year. And he also runs his annual basketball camp every summer for boys and girls. The one and only Tim Capstraw. Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing great, DJ. I'm fired up to be on your show, man. I love your hustle. You've been tracking me down for months. I love it.
Hey, Tim, it's an honor to have you on, for real, man. Like, this is... I don't think I've been this excited since I interviewed Rob Parker, my guy Rob Parker, man.
Well, you might have to adjust your standards a little bit there. Let me tell you might have to adjust them a little bit. But
hey, I
just keep hustling the way you're hustling, man. I just love it. I love when young guys get after it. You're going to really make a great name for yourself. And keep getting those reps in. Just keep hustling, man. It's great.
Yeah, man. I saw you on LinkedIn. I was like, oh, he's in the Jersey area and he covers the Brooklyn Nets. I was like, let me shoot him a message a couple months ago just to see if he would be willing to come on the show. And I was like, I saw you had some mutual connections. We have mutual connections. I was like, oh, let me shoot him a message, see if he answers. And he answered. And I was like, oh, okay. Maybe we could get something going here, set something up. So
I usually answer people. I'm not that big. I don't know if people are, especially when I see what you're doing and what you're trying to promote and how you're totally into it and the way you're doing things, that's not hard to answer. It's just a question of during the summertime, I'm a little nuts with my camp. So I'm so exhausted that it makes it a little bit more difficult. And I thought as we got closer to the NBA season, it might be more a better conversation.
Yeah. Hey, we're almost there now, so ain't no better time
Yeah.
than me. So, Tim, you grew up in Utica, New York, in the Mohawk Valley. Describe what it was like growing up there for you, and how you describe the area for those who aren't familiar with it.
Well, it's kind of right in the middle of New York State, and when you're growing up in a certain area, you just think it's great. I mean, it was fine. It was the setups with the high schools and the competition. I was a good athlete in multiple sports. I had just a wonderful time. And I think sometimes people go, oh, you're from Utica, New York. That's not a big deal. Hey, listen, everybody I know from there that's got a pretty good job is awful happy.
Yeah.
Right? Cost of living is good. Quality of life. So, I've made my way down to New York City and Wagner College and coaching there. And I've been upstate and back and all that. But Utica was just fantastic for me.
Yeah, I just want to tell you, my cousin, older cousin, he went to Utica College, and he's a really.
It's right down the street from where I lived. Right down the street. Yeah, it's they've done a good job in recent years as far as building up their sports programs.
Oh yeah, and my cousin, he did track there before he actually pulled a muscle tissue in his hip. He was a track star in high school and all that, but he's a great videographer and photographer now. He's done like big time artists, so you guys have that connection.
Very
there.
Cool.
Yeah. So when did your love for sports begin? Who was the first person to get you into sports?
Oh, I don't think anybody had to get me into it. I was totally into it from a real young age, and I was one of those guys. I always tell everybody I peaked at age 8. Man, I was good at age 8. You should have seen me. I was like you ever see those guys that are like a foot taller than everybody, and they're like 8 years old?
Yeah.
And not only was I taller, but I was totally into sports. And I would work out every day on my own, and my mother was really encouraging and all that. And I was just good at everything, but not great. You know what I mean? And I was great at age 8, but then everybody started catching up to me. I always tell people when I was a little league player, the catcher I had was this guy. Well, you might not know him, but you might recognize the name. A guy named Andy Van Slyke. He was my catcher, and he wanted to be me. Well, Andy went on to, sign in the first round for $10 million and had a 15-year major league career, was an all-star twice. And, he kind of went way by me. As I got older, the differential in my talent started to adjust.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. That's an awesome story to hear.
Yeah.
So, who was the first person to put a basketball into your hand? Because I know that's your primary love, the sport you love the most.
Oh, I don't know. Again, I would watch everything. I was just nuts as a young kid and just totally into everything. I would wait, different than now, man. You'd have to wait oftentimes for a few days for a game to come on. Maybe it'd be UCLA was playing a college game. And I began probably watching maybe with Alcindor, more so with Walton, knew those players in college, would wait for those games. You'd get the Knicks, right? You'd get the Knicks on TV. Maybe I was in 72 or whatever. I was 12 years old, so I knew the Knicks. I knew I would follow everything. And I got myself into it, tell you the truth. I'm the youngest of 7 in my family, but there was an age gap between me and everyone else. They are all into sports, but not to the level I was. They enjoy it, but I was as passionate as you can be. That is why I seem so happy, because I've always done what I loved when I was a young boy. Yep. I've never grown up. The same things I loved when I was 5 and 6 and 7, I get to do right now with basketball or, any sport.
So you stood out from the crowd. You were different from everybody else.
I was a little weird. Yeah. In that and I say this to young people at my camp, basketball is a great sport because you can get better on your own. You don't need anybody else.
Yep.
And everybody thinks, well, they got to go to this trainer and that trainer. And don't get me wrong, I sent my daughter to that also. But the beauty of sports is the time by yourself, dreaming and working. I can't tell you how many hours I spent on a playground just shooting and dribbling and doing this and that, just so I could be, and then it would change though. Because when it was basketball season, that's all I would do. In the summertime, too, because basketball was easy. But then when it was baseball, that's all I'd work. And then it was football. Everybody played 3 sports, and So that what was my favorite sport growing up? Well, it depended on the season. So it was a great learning experience growing up in Utica and working on my game.
Yeah, when I was growing up too, I used to always be outside. A kid being outside, always exercising, playing football, playing basketball. Basketball was my favorite sport growing up. Played in high school and stuff like that, and did track as well. And then always as being an active kid, riding bicycles, skateboards. I'd rather be outside than play video games. That's just how I was.
Well, that's what I encourage. That's what I think young people miss out on some today. And I think that just being out there, it's a little bit different now. I guess the world is a little bit different, or everybody's, I would just go out to a field around our neighborhood and just go out there for hours by myself. And I think that, I guess the world is different and you can't do that as easily, but I still think, going out in your backyard or going to the playground and just working on your game is still a viable thing to do.
Oh yeah. So who were the players you try to model your game after in basketball growing up?
I don't know. I wasn't really, I hope you don't think I was like some good player. I was a walk-on. I played the only thing I got going for me is that I'm one of the few people that you could say, well, he kind of played 3 sports in college. You don't meet many people like that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't good at anything. Well, I was pretty good in baseball. Yeah, I scored 20 career points in basketball, dude. This is not. And then I went to Wagner to be a football player because I had my knee operated and I was a pretty big recruit.
Yep.
I stayed about 2 weeks playing football. Then I played baseball. Then I was a walk-on. Again, jack of all trades, master of none. But, in Utica, in your high school, I was pretty good. But you learn as you move on how good real players are, So I don't want to give the wrong impression here.
Yeah. So you did play other sports like football and baseball growing up. How did they help you on the basketball court? Which one did you enjoy the most?
Well, I love basketball the most. There's no doubt about that. I mean, there's that game. The game is just too beautiful, man. It's too. I loved everything, but baseball was slow to me. It was a little stale.
Yeah.
I mean, I played it in college and I enjoyed it and I was pretty good, but I didn't like waiting around.
Yeah.
If I was going to play baseball, I was a pitcher. I wanted to be in the action. Basketball was clearly it. Football, I was good at because, again, I was 6'2". I was 200 pounds. I could play quarterback because I had a good arm and all this. But I hated putting on the pads. I hated getting hit.
Yeah.
I mean, I was good at it, but I didn't love it. Football guys are a different breed, man. Those guys that just love to go and beat up people and be in the mud and all that, I used to hate it. But I was good, so you felt the obligation to play. At least at the high school level, but it's kind of worked out okay that I didn't play in college.
Yeah. So you went to Utica Free Academy High School, where you played basketball and football as the school's quarterback. What do you recall from your high school days as an athlete?
Oh, just that it was great. It was good. I had a very good experience. I was pretty good at each sport. So I was going to be, I didn't think I was good at not thinking I was cool. I knew it was, I don't know. I had great friends, great relationships, played every sport. In the spring, I stopped playing baseball for a while. I started playing tennis. Used to run track because I thought that would help me in the other sports and all that kind of stuff. I just love the friendships you got to make through sports and how it shaped my entire life, man. It has made the most incredible difference in how I approach things, how I meet different people, how I've just been lucky. Everything that I've gotten in my life has been because of sports, and that's why I'm such a fan of participation and just being involved.
Yeah, sports are a metaphor of life, and that's why I love it so much. You get out what you put in.
Very perfect. You nailed it right there. I went on this long tangent, and I like the way you're thinking right there. Very good.
So Wagner ended up recruiting you as a quarterback. When I was doing my research, I was like, oh, this guy really was nice at football. And yeah. But you had knee surgery that ended your football career. If not for that knee surgery, do you think you would have kept pursuing football?
I don't know. I didn't love it, though. I kind of caught a break. I don't know. I didn't love it. Like I said before, I didn't love it, but I like it. Did you just like, this is your life? I'm like, I feel like you're going to bring in I don't know, an old girlfriend or something's going to come walking in.
I love the enthusiasm.
I can't help myself. I'm pumped up, you know.
Oh, that's great. We love that here in DJ.
I checked your website though. I saw you dunking. Was that you dunking?
Yeah.
Was that rim 10 feet? Was that 10-foot rim?
Yeah, that was in California. My cousin.
The only thing I was checking. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
You dunked pretty easy.
Hey, thank you,
That's
man.
all I got to say.
Thank you, man. My cousin took that from me. He's a videographer and all that. I was in California last year, 2023, for vacation. I was like, I was thinking of doing a cool reel for my, sports show. I never done one before, so I said, "Oh, can you do some videos for me?" And he did it for me, and then I just put something together. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's again, man. Just keep. I love your hustle.
Yeah,
keep crushing it like this.
Yeah.
All right, move on. What do we got next?
So you end up choosing to attend Wagner College. What stood out to you about the school, and what other schools were you considering at the time?
The gentleman that came into my home to recruit me was a gentleman named Walt Hamline, and he just walked in, and basically wherever I was going to go, he just changed. There's a lot of great places to go to school, and I found that when I was a coach, that if you get an attachment with an individual, and he was the assistant coach at the time. By the time I left Wagner, he was the athletic director and the football coach, head football coach. He ended up hiring me back at Wagner, so I had a close relationship. I grew up without a father, and my mother was she could tell that this gentleman would look after me, so she kind of encouraged me that way also.
Yeah. So while at Wagner, you met a man by the name of PJ Carlesimo, who took you
as
a walk-on basketball player your sophomore year, where you played for the school until you graduated in '82 at Wagner. How much did you learn from him about the game of basketball and life as someone you consider a mentor?
Oh, yeah, I would consider him well, the fact that I was put on the team and I walked on, and I just thought he was the greatest, but practice was so hard. It was so hard. Yep. It was physically demanding. He was tough. I'd be nervous all day. And but I used to watch how he would not just coach guys, but more interact with people. And I wanted to be like him. That's probably why I got into coaching. I admired him that so much that when I saw a window when I graduated college to be a coach, that's why I went into it. That's how much I admired his coaching, and really but I used to love how we would go to different arenas or whatever, and he would know the janitors' names, and the janitors would be excited to see him. I liked how he treated. I might not treated the players that well, and he was intimidating as heck. But I loved how he treated other people and how he had great charisma. And I used to watch him all the time, and he was incredibly impactful in my life.
That's amazing. Yeah, Peter Carlesimo, man, one of the legendary coaches in NBA history. So that's great. When I saw that, I was like, oh, wow, he met Peter Carlesimo? Okay. So that's great.
Yeah. Boy, you're a history buff, man.
Yeah.
You go back.
Yeah. I was born in 2000, but I know my history of the NBA, man. I know history. I used to read books growing up, everything. So champions, the greatest players, all that. So I know all of them. Willis Reed, Will Clapper.
I know. You sound like, I feel like I'm having an interview with a guy that's like 65. You're 24.
Yeah.
What the heck?
I love the game.
Were you here before?
Huh?
Were you here before? That's all I want to know.
Yeah. So upon graduating Wagner, you wasted no time staying involved with hoops. You become a head coach for Wagner's baseball team at just 23 years old. You were the youngest at the time as a collegiate head coach. So why baseball to start off and not basketball? What drew you to start?
No, I started in basketball. I was a basketball coach, but what happened was the baseball coach resigned right before the season, and they were in a jam, and they said, you played baseball, I was and they saw how I was kind of getting into coaching and kind of how I handled myself, and they're saying, we need you to take over the baseball team. And it was good because it gave me great leadership experience. Some of the guys I played with, but I kept my professional, whatever distance. I didn't overdo it. And it was a very good experience. But again, I was mostly doing it because I knew one day I wanted to be a basketball coach. Yeah. So I don't know. I was very young, but it was a great experience, and it was kind of out of necessity that they needed me. But again, I had been a good athlete and a good student, and so I was working at the school, They liked me, and I got that opportunity.
That's great. So eventually you get into assistant coaching basketball at Siena College with the Siena Saints from 85 to 89 under head coach John Griffin your first season and Mike Dean the following years, where you guys want to combine 86 and 31 across the 4 seasons. What X's and O's did you learn more as an assistant coach of the game of basketball, and how do you describe your time at Siena?
Unbelievable. It's great. I mean, you're from a little bit upstate New York. Siena's a wonderful place.
Yeah.
And it was 4 years and we were really good.
Yeah.
And I thought I was a good assistant coach. I had recruited very good players, some real talented guys. I worked 1 year with John Griffin, 3 more years with a guy named Mike Dean, who really you might be familiar with because I know you're from Haverstraw, right? Right in Rockland. He's a Rockland County legend, Mike Dean.
Yeah.
And he's a legend. And we had really good teams, and that's why I was able to parlay that. And Siena's got a real good fan base. Fans up in Albany love it, man. They go crazy. And it was a great time, great experience. We ended up beating Stanford in the first round of the NCAA tournament in 1989. That's when there were very few upsets. You know how you see a lot of them now?
Yeah.
But because the guys back then, everybody played 4 years, it wasn't any one and done. So the top 10 teams in the country were way better than everybody else. So the fact that we were able to beat a 3 seed, we were a 14, we were that good. We had really good players. So that was a great experience being up at Siena College. I loved it there.
No, that's great. And I know you guys were good all your 4 years there, but 88, 89 season, like you mentioned, you guys made your first NCAA tournament appearance in the program's history, where your guys like Mark Brown and Steve McCoy led the school to 80-78 victory over number 3 Stanford. How big of a win was that for the program on such a big stage?
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. A weird thing happened with that team. There was a measles epidemic on campus.
Yep.
So we didn't have fans for 2 months. And they finally allowed to have fans where we played down in Greensboro. I think that was the first time we were able to do it. So busloads and busloads of Siena fans. And if you've ever been to the tournament, when a lower seed is playing a big seed, like you're on a neutral site, the fans, we had a ton of Siena, Albany people, right? Tons of Siena people, maybe 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. But the other 10,000 will then start cheering for the underdog in these neutral sites. So it was great. It was 15,000 cheering. It was unbelievable. It was a great experience. We had to turn around then and play. We played Thursday. We had to play Saturday. It's a shame we were so excited about winning because we had really good talent. Yeah. If we thought we might have won, we might not have been as emotional because it was hard to get up for another game within 48 hours because we were so excited we beat Stanford. But we had enough talent to compete. We lost to Minnesota on that Saturday. It was a great experience.
Oh, that sounds great. I can't imagine the feelings you guys were going through during that time. What?
Yeah, it was great. It was different. It was different because again, recent years you've seen, even FDU won and different people, right? People have beaten different teams. That never ever happened back then. Yeah. I mean, it was a 16-1. I understand that. That's different, but even a 3 seed losing to 14, very rare. In fact, then you're on the back pages of the New York newspapers, and you're up in Albany. It was a big deal. It was great.
So you leave Siena in 1989 to become the youngest men's basketball college coach at Alma Wagner College in Division I at the time for a decade from 89 to 99. During your time there, you had a 117-164 record with no NCAA or NIT appearances, but you won the 1992 Northeast Conference Coach of the Year, 16-12, 9-7 in league play, and 5th in NEC. That year, despite being Coach of the Year that season, did it keep you up at night that you'd never made an NCAA tournament appearance?
Yeah. I don't know if when you get done with this, I want you to look at the NCAA or the Northeast Conference. You're such a historian, but just put in Northeast Conference, the shot, because I lost on the shot, known as the shot. It was a championship game. We're playing Rider University. We're up 1 with 4 seconds to go, and there's a timeout. And they were able to get the ball in too easily. I didn't guard him hard enough. I got crushed on WFAN the next day for not guarding the inbounder and all that. And a guy named Derek Suber was able to go down, and then Ryder went to the NCAA tournament. So I was close, but I did not get in there. And that's one of my big regrets in life is that I originally had everybody set up defensively. Then they called and had a big guy on the ball and all that. And then they called timeout, and I got nervous about being beaten over the top or something like that. So I took him off the ball. But Suber, this guy Derek Suber, was able to get a running start, get down, get to the other end, and the place went nuts. It was championship week. It was a shot of the year. It was like all this kind of stuff. So have some fun. You're such a historian. You'll see what I looked like when I was 30 years old. That was misery right there. That's as close as I got.
He said you could go back and see when I had my hair brown and all that.
Yeah. My hair was quite darker, that's for sure.
So now it's time for a new career. You begin broadcasting for the Northeast Conference for a 3-year stint from 99 to 02. Why did you want to pursue broadcasting, and what did you learn during those early stages broadcasting for NEC, and what would eventually become an illustrious career for you?
You know what was going on? I would be speaking at these luncheons all the time in New York City. They'd have a weekly luncheons with all the coaches. And I'd occasionally get up there and be funny, say something that was a little different or funny. And people started encouraging me to do that. And that, to be whatever, entertaining. So I got better at that, speaking in front of people. Then I started doing some NCAA shows with, different guys like Bruce Beck had a show and different things like that. I would do those. And I was getting good reviews. People liked me, and I liked doing it. And I was nervous I was going to lose my job. So I was preparing, looking at the big picture, saying, hey, listen, I better make sure I got something else out there. But, and I did lose my job. But the difference between me and a lot of guys is I wasn't a big name. I was at Wagner College. It wasn't going to go right to ESPN and they were going to give me a job. I had to grind it out, man. I had to volunteer everywhere. I'd be going up past your house, up to Marist. I'd go to Iona. I'd go to here. Just anything anybody wanted to hear, I would, very similar to you, tell you the truth, right now. Yeah. You got to hustle. Yeah. You got to just do it, right? So I was everywhere and getting reps. And then I would work hard, and I got better at it and got more comfortable, because I think that is the key. And I always say that to broadcasters, right? Podcaster, whatever you're doing. The key is just do it a lot, right? Do it more. That's why, like, Tom Brady is a lot better yesterday than he was the first game he did. You'll get better. Yeah. You get more comfortable. You understand. You listen back to yourself. You take a little criticism. And then you work on it that way. That's a big key. And so I kind of had a feeling I was going to lose my job, and I wanted to set myself up and or at least pursue this, but it didn't come right away. I had to work a lot of other jobs while I was trying to get broadcasting. I mean, I sold copiers for 3 months.
Wow.
I taught kids out in Long Island for years. I would teach them how to do things, training and stuff, one-on-one group training. In fact, big reason why I was able to get the Nets job is that when the job opened up, Mike Breen's son was in my group. And I was teaching out in Long Island, wow. Michael. And I said, Mike, I don't know if you can do anything, but I'd love to have a chance at this job. Turns out Chris Carino who's the play-by-play, who was the guy really making the decision, was a Fordham grad. Mike Breen was certainly somebody everybody admires. So that's how I was able to get my foot in the door. But it kind of in a process, I certainly wanted to keep coaching, but I kind of knew it was coming to an end.
Yeah, it's a good thing you had hindsight.
Or foresight at the time too, right? Like, okay, all right, what's going on here? Yeah, you gotta know that. And nobody treated me bad or anything like that. You're always hearing people that lose their job. Oh, I got screwed over by them. The athletic director wanted me to win as much as I did, and And one of the things that this is my big excuse, if you want. Like, I get to have one excuse for my coaching career. We used to have to play all these big games all the time. Go to Syracuse, go here, go. And at the end of the year, you'd look at your record and say, well, if I had 4 easy games instead of 4 hard ones, you might be thinking different about the season. Yeah. But it didn't work that way. That only worked a couple of years. Yeah. Then they said, no, time to move on.
So eventually you got your big break in the 02-03 NBA season where you became an NBA radio announcer and commentator for the now Brooklyn Nets, formerly known as the New Jersey Nets, where you also fill in on the S Network broadcast till this day for over 20 years, where you've had over 1,900 consecutive games broadcasted. So congrats to you. You're Mr. Consistency.
Yeah, no, I'll show up. You might not like me, but I'll show up,
How did the Nets gig come about, and what have you enjoyed the most about broadcasting for the Nets all these years and the culture there?
Well, no, I kind of just said it. I accidentally stepped into it. Happened to be the job opened up. Mike Breen, I was coaching his son. I was hustling out, driving to Long Island every day from West Orange, New Jersey, or Montclair, New Jersey at the time. And go an hour, I'd come back every night. And not unlike you, you were just grinding it out. Although I wasn't 24, I was like maybe 40, I was older, so, and they started having a family and stuff. Yeah. There's a lot of pressure. You got to kind of keep going, and I just got so lucky. Now, I didn't know how to do the job particularly well in the beginning. You have to learn the rhythm of it, the feel of it. Mm-hmm. You have to learn the league. You have to understand the rule difference between the NBA and college. You know what I mean? Like, you just have to get used to, in the bonus, they'd be in the bonus and, all the fouls and all it faked you out and like when to talk, when not to, how to say things. But again, you get reps, get a lot of them. And I'm really lucky. I don't know if you're familiar with Chris Carino, but if you ever want to hear the most perfect broadcaster, play-by-play man, I mean, I know there's great ones in New York, and he's one of them. You know what I mean? There's a lot of great ones in New York. I understand that. This is the mecca for that. But Chris Carino, broadcasting radio sports, or really broadcasting anything, is one of the great treats. And I would just be in awe of this guy. How can he do this so easy and so smooth? But then he kind of coached me along a little bit, and I think we got better. And then we created, because I like him so much and admire him, we developed a chemistry. And I think that's important in anything. When two people are working together, you can sense if they like each other. Like he would want me to do well. So he would compliment me during the broadcast. Hey, Capper, just like you said, boom. You know what I mean? That goes a long way. Yep. Or I'd say, Chris, that call was amazing. So it's been a beautiful relationship. I've really felt incredibly lucky, and you got to keep hustling too. I'm like you. I'm thinking about, I'm not good enough on social media. I got to do better. I got to do more. I don't want to be a dinosaur. You know what I mean? Should I have a pod? Should I have a podcast? I don't know if I can do that, but I can certainly show my whatever to people more on social media. So that's kind of like a daily challenge for me right now. And when I grew up, there was none of that, So it's not natural for me to show people what I'm doing. Hey, look at me, But everything is, I want to keep my job, so I better be good at it, I better get better at it. You know what I mean?
You have to adapt. You have to adapt with the time.
You got to adapt. And I'm trying to. So I feel like I've made this a much more commitment to it recently, and I'm going to go after it a little bit. And I feel like I'm a rookie again. Let's go, okay. And then you got because you get self-conscious. I don't know. Just about when we grew up, you if you had to talk about yourself, then you were kind of a jerk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now it's like, I don't want to talk about myself, but you share people your experiences, Yeah. Or you share things with them. Not saying, hey, look at me, but you share and they get to know you. And that's kind of how I get information right now. So why I have to do that also. So, you're talking about me doing this forever. I'm looking to evolve myself. You got to be a lifetime learner, man. Got to keep hustling.
Yep. No matter how old you are, you're always learning.
So follow me.
Yeah.
I need followers.
So
like it. Like what I do. Help.
As someone who's been radio announcing, and broadcasting for the Nets for over 20 years, who are the 5 greatest players you've seen in the Nets franchise history? And name your 5 greatest players in NBA history overall.
Jason Kidd's my favorite player. My favorite player. Jason Kidd. He would look at, he just separates himself to me.
Yeah.
He would have a look in his eyes, and the other, not only he, but the other 4 guys on the floor, and really the entire place, would know, okay, it's go time. Because I don't know that I guess his skill level was incredible. He wouldn't be, but it was a different type of skill. It wasn't like he was the most pure shooter. Yeah. Or, his handle was good. His passing was world class.
Through the roof.
Right?
Out of this world.
But his will, he had a will to him that was so amazing that whether it be defensively, he could be physical defensively, he could rebound hard, but it was the pushing of the ball up the floor, and it gets people involved, and it changes the energy of the game. And then, he wouldn't be necessarily a great shooter, although he made himself a great shooter late in his career, but he would make the big shot when he needed to make the big shot. I thought he was amazing. So he really stands out really hard, really high. I mean, Vince Carter was there when, I watched him. His talent level, he's the most talented guy, right?
Yeah.
Makes it look so easy. And then we had Durant and Kyrie Irving, so that's pretty good, wouldn't you say, on talent level?
That was.
Although their time there was, wasn't considered great. So so I'm up to 4 or 5 right there, and trying to think who I think is really a 5th guy right now. Kid, boom, boom, boom. Only because I like. I'm going to throw Jefferson in there just because I like him.
Richard Jefferson.
He's a great guy.
Very humorous guy.
He's very humorous.
Yeah. He'll
appreciate him that you will tell him that was top 5 Nets all time. He was really good. People forget. They forget that he was a very, very good player. Not very good, really good.
Yeah.
And, he had a window there where he was a terrific player, but I might be doing that just as being a good guy right now, too. Somebody, I wouldn't call him like a buddy of mine, but he's an acquaintance. Like, isn't he great? He's just great, man. Some people just are great. Richard Jefferson's great because he's like, he's really smart. He's really funny. And he's got enough, like he's secure enough in himself and financially that he'll say anything. Right? He's secure in himself and his bank account. He's got both things going. So look out. He'll say a lot.
Yeah. No, he's safe no matter what.
He's great. I love him.
You have any cool Jason Kidd or Vince Carter stories you like to share to the people?
Nah. I don't know. Here's the thing. People always ask you, hey, do you know these guys? Hey, Jason Kidd was a very nice guy. And so is Vince Carter. I mean, and yet I don't even, Jason Kidd would call me Cap occasionally. So he did know my name. Not everybody knows your name, Not as a radio guy. Because I wouldn't go up to him and be annoying, If I had something to do, I would do it and say thank you. They're time, I don't know, or see him in an elevator. What's up? Hi. Hey, let's talk about basketball. They don't want that.
Yeah.
They're all good guys, and I kind of known my place. I don't think I'm that high up on the totem. I've been around a long time, but I've also been, I sit in the last seat on the plane for years. Last seat, right? Mm-hmm. You can't be any closer to the bathroom than I am. I am right there. I don't think I'm cool. I don't need to be anywhere else. I'm really lucky to be there. So that's kind of how I've approached it. I've survived this long doing that.
Hey, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Not only have you covered the Nets, but you also serve as NBA TV's lead analyst for EuroLeague basketball and other international competitions. What do you enjoy most about covering international games that differ from the NBA? Any cool stories from overseas?
I'll just tell you a story because you'll crack up about this. So I used to do the EuroLeague Game of the Week, right?
Yep.
And they haven't put that on NBA TV in a long time. But the game would be played before I like it was on delay, like it was already played. So I could read about the story of the game before I broadcast the game. So I'd be saying, Masiauskas is going to be the X factor today. I can feel it. Meanwhile, I just read that he had 15 points in that first quarter or something like that, you know? So it was funny to do games that have already been played. I was a genius. Every week. And people would think that I was in Germany, I was in Russia, I was in Israel. I was oftentimes in a soundproof room in Secaucus, New Jersey, pretending I was there, you know? So that was my EuroLeague experience. But then I would be asked to do EuroLeague Final Four stuff. I loved it. I loved all that stuff. And also, I've done a lot of NBA TV for the international games. You know how the teams go overseas each year and play a few games, Paris games, different things like that. So I've done quite a bit of that over the years also. And
That's awesome.
Anytime the NBA hires me, I consider it the biggest honor. Like if anybody ever said, you know, like, first of all, the Nets, I can't believe that I've done this job. And the fact when they call me up to ask me to do it, it's almost like, you know, like I'm not getting awards or I'm not, you know, going for, I'm not like, but it's kind of their way of saying you do a good job. If they're going to call you up, you're doing a good job. So that's kind of where I've really appreciated all the work.
That's all the approval you need right there when the league says, "Hey, Tim."
Yeah, I think so. I think so. But you know, more people can call. I'm available.
So you called many big games throughout your legendary broadcasting career, but nothing bigger than when you were called to cover basketball for the 2012 London Summer Olympics. What was your reaction when you found out you'd be covering the London Olympics, and who broke the news to you?
Well, that's another good story, right? Because I'm doing it, but I didn't do USA games. I did all the other games. I did a lot of other games, and again, they didn't travel everybody to the games, so I was in NBC studios on the stage where they do Saturday Night Live. Mm-hmm. They put all these little soundproof booths, so I would be doing basketball here, but you'd walk down, a guy would be doing track and field right next to you. Somebody else would be doing, because they were just shown on so many different venues there that I wasn't going to do I was doing games that would show, I don't know if they were certainly in the States, but they weren't on the main channel, you know, and stuff like that. So it was neat, but I wasn't there. You're doing it on the TV. But I remember doing some big, you know, some Australia beating Spain in this huge game and knocking down a three-pointer. Joe Ingles passed it to Patty Mills. He made a shot. Yeah. So it was great, you know, because then now these guys end up in the NBA, and I'm like, I saw Joe Ingles. He's pretty good, you know, so it was great.
Oh, no, that's awesome. Yeah, I thought you were there in person. I was like, oh, he covered the Olympics? Oh,
nah, you're not there all the time.
Yeah.
Guys are there, you know, for the most part, you know, but not all the time.
So what's different about being an announcer and broadcaster covering NBA games in person that the normal person doesn't really get to see watching on TV?
Oh, what's different than what they would think?
Yeah. Like seeing great players you've seen through the years like Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, etc.
Now you get a little bit more used to it, because I remember in the beginning, like the size of the players doesn't throw me off anymore. But in the beginning, like NBA guys are really 7'1", 7'2". You know what I mean? Like they actually measure them without their shoes on right now. So when you go up and stand next, Brook Lopez, let's put Brook Lopez in that top 5 too. I loved him as a player.
Yeah,
sorry about that, Brook. Sorry about. But when you stand next to, the size of the players will shock people. When people come to the Barclays Center for a game, and they'll ask me, "Hey Tim, I'm coming to the game." I say, "Well, you know, if you come early, find me in this section, and I'll take you down to the floor. Not to the floor, maybe to the first row, because they don't. Since COVID, you can't go on the floor as much. Mm-hmm. They are just like, oh my God, because you're used to watching on TV.
Yep.
And you can't believe that if you're walking by a guy that's a guard, how big the guards are. Like it's just the perspective of the size of the players. I've gotten used to it, but I find that is shocking to people.
Yeah.
That when they come to games, and it really stands out. And you go to college games, yeah, there's a few really good tall guys, but in an NBA team, usually, the average height is 6'7", 6'8", but you got 7'2". You see, and it really throws people for a loop. But it's really cool to if you go to a game, and this might be a great time for people and yourself to come to Nets games, right? To come to a Nets game. They're not going to be great, right? They're not going to be great. They're building it up, but you get to see the feel for an NBA situation. You know what I mean? So I recommend it. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, I've been to Barclays twice and the Garden twice. So I've been to like 4 or 5 NBA games. So yeah, it really is different in person. You realize how quick the game goes, even faster in person, I feel like, than even on TV.
Yeah, that can happen. You also are thrown off by the amount of extra stuff that goes on, right? I mean, there's the timeout. There's such an entertainment thing that goes with the NBA basketball that I sometimes, for the most part, I really like it. But it can be like, hey, the game is great too.
Yeah.
You got music, you got dancers, you got this, that.
Yep.
Halftime, and it's a production. It's like a show.
Yep.
And it's really important. You got to do those kind of things. This is what we're looking for. But Barclays is great. I mean, the setup is great to get there, to get to a game, to get a feel for it, and let me know. Let me know. Bring it down to the floor.
Yeah, it's about audience engagement. You want to keep the audience engaged.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is a good time to do it too, especially for families and stuff. Right? You might be able to get. Knicks tickets are going to be tough. They're going to be really good. Nets for certain games would be tough, but you'll still be able to find your deals that you'd be able to get a family there, or get there for a game and get a feel for the NBA. I highly recommend it. It's fun.
Oh yeah. So you mentioned earlier working with Chris Carrino. So you also work with him and Sarah Kustok. What was it like working with them and covering the Nets? I'm sure you guys have a lot of fun.
I worked with Chris 90%
of the time.
98% of the time. Sarah, I just admire, I mean, I don't really I never worked with her because we do the same job. Okay. So if I were doing TV that I do 4 times a year, or I did 4 times last year, not every year, I don't even do that. But Sarah, I would be maybe replacing Sarah. But I talk about, those are 2 people that I could not admire more. I talked about my feelings towards Chris Carrino and his greatness, and also type of person he is. He's overcome. He has a physical disability. Maybe you've read about it. It's unbelievable. Sarah, what's neat? You talk about breaking through like glass ceilings and stuff. She was the first female to be a broadcaster, right? To be for an NBA team. And it's wild. You don't even say that anymore. You know what I mean? Like, certainly there have been other broadcasters now, and it never even comes up. Well, yeah, of course. That's Sarah. She's excellent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no bigger compliment could there be than somebody saying to Sarah Kustok, "Oh, we don't think about you as a woman anymore. We think about you as a heck of a broadcaster, and we're thrilled you're on the game."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we come along.
There could be no bigger compliment than, yeah, she's excellent. She's so well prepared. She says it so well. She's so likable. You want to be likable without being phony. It's a high praise for her. That's for sure.
Yeah, she is. Whenever I listen to Nets games and watch, and I hear her, Chris Carrino, I'm just like, yeah, they're really good at it.
Iron Eagle's unbelievable, right?
Iron Eagle too.
Iron Eagle.
Their effort. It's like
we have the best. Ryan Rucco.
Ryan Rucco too. Yeah.
Richard Jeff. The Nets have it's kind of documented, because when you judge broadcasters, it's subjective, right? There's no all right, let's rate the broadcasters here. You get a rating. There's no speed racing. You're a track guy. Yeah. It's all personal. Yeah. But in general, people think the Nets have the best. Well, think about it. If Iron Eagle's one of the best in the world at what he does, right, and he's used all over the world, okay, Ryan Rucco is national. He does everything, right? Sarah Kustok is national. Richard Jefferson is national. Chris Carino does NFL every week for the Compass Studio Network. It's unbelievable if they're being used everywhere else. Knicks are like that too, though. I shouldn't. Mike Breen is Mike Breen, but Kenny Albert subs in, right? Clyde Frazier was Clyde Frazier. They're legendary stuff. But so New York, it's the media capital, so you can't be rotten when you're on the air. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta bring it.
Yeah.
I gotta bring it. Be good or not be bad. Yeah. So that's sometimes. You don't necessarily always have to be great. Just don't be bad. Don't be annoying. Know your place. And got off on a tangent right there, but I thought it was fun. That's how much I admire everyone.
Yeah, New York. New York's brutal, so you got to be tough.
You got to be tough, and sometimes you get hammered a little bit, but. Yeah. You know why? Because guys are on for long periods of time, right? Yeah, and if you're on 2 hours. And you're talking, and sometimes you edit yourself well, but sometimes you got to be careful. Yeah. I try to treat it a little bit like sending out a tweet, right? When in doubt, leave it out. If you're not sure, don't do it.
Exactly.
And you even slip up on that sometimes, right? But I think that's a good thing to remember. That's what I say if I speak at colleges, or different places. Or at my broadcasting, we have a broadcasting camp in the summer also. Yeah. When in doubt, leave it out. If you're not sure.
I remember that.
When in doubt. Who said that? You're always thinking of all these famous guys, Albert Einstein. I'm always quoting Einstein and Leonardo da Vinci. Joey Waller told me that. He's a WFAN. He was filling in. He's a local broadcaster. But I thought it was perfect. Because it's so pertinent to young people right now. Yeah. When in doubt, don't go there, man. Don't go there. Has anything to do with anything that people could take the wrong way? When in doubt, leave it out.
So you also have your annual Tim Capstraw basketball camp and broadcasting camp every summer. What do you enjoy most about giving back to younger people?
Well, I give it back, but I mean, I can't. I don't want to overdo it because they do pay to go to the camp. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like. I got to make money too,
Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely love it. You know why? It's not quite like camp when I used to go. I'm talking about basketball camp. It's not quite like how I used to go. We used to get beat up and really work hard. And we teach a lot. We teach decent amount, but it's gotten younger and younger because kids, once they get to like 8th grade, go on to these other camps. Mm-hmm. So I have to make it fun, man. I have to have fun. And when I was growing up, maybe you some up in like where you're from in Rockland County, you could go to the park and get pickup games at night or pickup games. Not everybody can do that now. It's not as obvious. It's not as open. Not everybody does that. So if you're at camp, you're going to get games that day. The games are going to be, you're going to get the ball. I'm going to put you at the right level of players. I'm going to make sure you have a good experience playing basketball. If you're too good, if you're better, I'm going to move you here. I'm going to have the better players all play against each other. So the ball moves with those guys. Nobody ball hogs. The weaker players go against each other. And they have a fun day of playing basketball and teach along the way. And if they're young and they're 6 and 7 years old, you got to do other things that are fun. I love it. It's exhausting. Don't get me wrong. Like I'll look at my phone at the end of the day. It'd be in my pocket. It'll say steps. It'll say like 24,000 steps. Oh, wow. You know what I mean? Like I just did a marathon, or something. It's exhausting, and yet I love it. The broadcasting camp that's done at Montclair State that I'm involved with a few other people. It's not my name. It's called the Sportscasting camp. It's really great. It's great. I mean, a lot of young people, are looking to get in and work on their skills as far as broadcasters, but really learn how to public speak, right? To be able to speak in front of people. How to slow down, how to communicate, how to be on camera. It's wonderful what is done during that week. And a lot of kids benefit from that also. And I'm very proud to be a part of that also.
That's great. We love hearing that. We love hearing that, Tim. What are you looking forward to most this upcoming NBA season regarding the Nets?
The Nets, development. I want to see how guys progress. I want to see Cam Thomas all around game.
Yep.
Can he be it's hard to find a natural scorer like that. They're really hard to find. Can he redefine even some other parts of his game? Could his defense on ball, off ball be better? Can he do those things and be an elite NBA player? Because he's got the potential, because scoring is the hardest thing, right? Mm-hmm. And he can do that. But you got to be able to do everything to be really, really good. I think he's got a chance to watch his evolution. Guys like Noah Clowney. I don't know if you're I'm sure you're familiar with him. He's got I thought he really came on. I thought he was impressive. What Claxton will bring this year with Jalen. I thought Jalen Wilson was really good in the summer league. Again, he was great. Different guys. I don't know what's going to happen with a few of the veteran guys. They might be moved on and traded. It's a different time for the Nets right now. So you have to approach it differently. Yeah. You have to approach it from let's plant a good foundation right now. Every good building has to have a good foundation, right? Strong foundation. And if you're going to build something, it's got to be built well. And who can be these foundational pieces for the Nets this year? And also coaching. I'm really curious to watch how Jordi Fernandez handles things. I've always been blown away watching the different coaches and the assistant coaches in the NBA. They really impress me all the time. I want to see how that translates to this team. How sharp are they? How intense? How hard they play? Those things will carry over. I don't know the type of success they'll have. You start looking around the Eastern Conference or the Western Conference, you start naming the teams that are on tier one, whether it be the Celtics and maybe the Knicks are there, maybe Philly's right around there, and maybe Celtics are above them, but they're not far. But then you just start naming all these other teams, Milwaukee and Indiana, and you just go on. So you say to yourself, well, the Nets really aren't there. So you don't want to go and say, oh, they got to win this certain amount. No, you want to build a foundation, and you just want to create a development and see the improvement of players. And and again, win enough along the way, though. I think it's important to battle every night and steel yourself and beat yourself. You get yourself some W's, because you want to build that culture also.
Yeah, see what foundational pieces you can have going forward. Because there's a pretty good draft coming up, so see what guys you want for your future.
Yeah, and they've got, and I thought they really did the right thing. Like, you don't want to be caught in the middle in the NBA. Yeah. And they got so much for, Kevin Durant got him a ton and got him Mikal Bridges, and then Mikal Bridges goes. I thought it was fine that they dealt with the Knicks. I'm excited to watch him play there. I think it's a great role for him there. Yeah, I think he's a really good player, but I think he'll just be one of the guys there, and that might be better for him and better for everybody. So I'm excited for him. But it was the right time for the Nets to do what they did. Right time for the Knicks probably to give up all those assets too. Yeah. You got to go for it too. Yeah. Much like the Nets did. The Nets went for it with Durant and Kyrie Irving. They did nothing that no other GM in the NBA everybody would have done that. Yeah. Right? They would have gone after it. Because that's what you do. You get to your point, and then you try to go to the next level. And so I'm just curious to watch the whole process this year. It'll be enjoyable. And again, I pinch myself that I'm there. I get to watch it. NBA experience is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, no, that's great. You ready for some quick hitters?
Man, you're working me out here. I like it. But honestly, you're such a pleasure to talk to. We got to keep our relationship going. All right.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely
Make sure you got it going on, man. You're the real deal. So, all right, what are you going to do? A rapid fire here? You're going to put me on the spot?
I got some. What was the changing moment of your life or pivot moment of your life that has brought you on?
Probably like what you said before. PJ Carlesimo told me not to be late for practice because I was going to be a walk-on the basketball. Or choosing Wagner or going to Wagner College. I always say that. It's such a big deal at college because everything after that kind of feeds on that, right?
Yeah.
And then, you don't know, and then you end up getting a certain job. Then you meet this certain woman who becomes your wife, and all because you went to this college. So those are the pivotal times.
What keeps you going after all these years? What's your why? What keeps you motivated?
The idea that I'm the luckiest guy, man. I go to NBA games. I get when I study, it's fun. When I work, it's fun. When I study the game of basketball, when I even work on things I could say, how I could say it, and it's all enjoyable to me. And I'm very, 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 very lucky. Very lucky.
Well, that's great. What's one thing you know now about the sports media business you wish you knew when you first started?
How big social media would be. That I didn't get it. I didn't know. I'm way behind. That doesn't mean I ain't catching up. I'm coming after you. Look out. But I did not know that the importance of it to the level it was. I thought it was important, but I also was always cautious that I might do the wrong thing and you say the wrong thing and try to be funny and then get in trouble. And, so I was cautious. And I kind of wish that I didn't I wish I knew a little bit more about that and the importance. And yet I don't want to go anywhere. So I'm going to, you can build never too late, nothing's never too late. So you just you kind of grind it out right now,
Yeah. What advice would you give young aspiring sports broadcasters or people who want to get into sports media?
Make a name for yourself like you're doing. I've had this conversation 100 times, not 100 times, a few people. You have the ability right now to make yourself important. That's what you're doing right now. You're making yourself important by just doing this. And you're getting reps. Mm-hmm. You've created your own environment where you can practice. You're practicing, getting to know people, and getting your name out there. Man, that's it. But you're doing it yourself. The way it is set up right now, you don't necessarily have to wait for somebody to be great. And with the media, how it's set up, right? I don't know who got to Pat McAfee before everybody, right? But he was on top of it and moved, right? Mm-hmm. Dave Portnoy, and all he does, Barstool and all that. You got the hustle, do the hustle, keep hustling, and but you build your name and your brand, and don't be shy to do it. Do what you're doing, and listen. We're talking right now, but it wasn't like you just called me up this morning. Yeah. You checked with me on LinkedIn in the spring. Then I said, no, I can't do it then. I do this, I do that. Yep. I wanted to act like I was important, like my schedule was so busy. But yeah. But no, I'm glad we connected today.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you got to be persistent.
You're persistent. Yeah. And just be persistent and polite. You're both. Right?
Yep.
And you're a wicked fan of the game. Yeah, and man, you get it. It's beautiful to see.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. What makes a great coach and broadcaster to you as someone who's been on both sides of the spectrum?
Great coaches are great teachers and are consistent. They're consistent in their communication ability, their poise, their delivery, and they're also know how to manage personalities and can be a little bit of everything to everybody. Like the Jay Wrights of the world, he's really a great teacher, but he's really great with the, community. He's great with recruiting. It's great. You have to do so many different things, but when you're coaching, it's your attention, your details, and it's your consistency of your delivery and your personality. You can't be too different on game day. These are all things I've learned, and being under control when you're coaching is really important. And I probably wasn't, but at the time when I was coaching, it was kind of in style to be a maniac, like throw your jacket and go
different
crazy
times
and
then.
scream.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's one of the really good things that have evolved in coaching in recent years. And that it's cool to be cool. If you can get if the players are responding to that, if that's what they're used to, they'll play just as hard. They don't play harder because you're screaming harder.
Yeah.
Maybe you could do that a little bit here and there and get them if that's your personality. You got to be yourself too. You can't be somebody you're not. But I think the consistency of your message and your ability to teach and, be yourself. But you got to be yourself because, like Danny Hurley's a phenomenal coach right now. But he's not what I just described right there. He's in their face. He's pushing them. He's doing that.
Like his dad
you got to be yourself. But I do think that does stand out to me that you don't have to be a maniac if that's not who you are.
Exactly. What's your game day routine for you as a broadcaster? What's a game day routine like for you?
I get up and drink too much coffee. I love coffee, so I get up and drink coffee real early, man. I don't know what happens when you get older, but early mornings become really good to you. I don't know what happens. I can't explain it. And then I'll, do my reading, do my notes, do this, be ready for the game. But it's not, I don't want to act like it's 8 hours. It doesn't take that long. It's important to be prepared for the game, be prepared for the opponent, write all your notes down. You have a folder with both one team on one. You don't want to be turning pages. You want all your notes right in front of you. So you put it all down. But I also know how much Chris Carino is going to do, so I don't need to duplicate him. I've worked with him so long. Yeah. So I will write down and prepare and put my time in, but not crazy. I got a dog the last few years. He's my best friend. I got to go walk him. I'm back. I'll do a little bit more. I try to exercise. I try to, but I'm not great at it. Nap in the afternoon, but I can't do it because I drink too much coffee. I got to figure this out because when you're older, too, you get tired at night. Yeah. Like Chris Carino will make fun of me. Like when we have early games, he seems like I'm better at my broadcasting. Like he goes, "We need to play early. You're so much better early." I go, "Oh, that means I'm bad at night." No, but anyways. Yeah. So it's a lot of that. It's a lot of preparing. But then I'm a father. I got to do all the stuff around the house. You got to do all these things. You mix in some studying. But then when you get to the game. And you want to get to the game early, right? I live in New York. I got to get there 4:30, just 4:45. That's when you want to do more of your work, right? You're getting close to the game. You might be talking to, you might be talking to different coaches a little bit. You might different people here and there, and just getting ready for the game. And then you go to the press conferences, get that. Then you have the game, and then sometimes I got to do stuff after the game because I like to, again. We're talking about social media and stuff like that. I've got to figure out ways to give information about the game from our standpoint really quick or really more timely. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's not what I do. I've done it in the past because Chris Carino usually has great highlights and might put them together. I don't know. It's kind of like an ongoing... Yeah, and then it kind of goes to the next day and the next. But you tell nothing I said where it wasn't fun, right? Yeah, it was fun.
You usually say whenever a sporting event happens, especially if it's a time sensitive thing, try to get it out within the 24 hours. That's what they usually say. Yeah. Or right there though. I mean, it's really. I wonder, if you get it in before even the morning, you got to get it. Maybe do something. But it's tough because our clips don't. It's hard to. Radio is different, and I like to usually sync it up with the TV. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So people could hear the call. But then if they've seen the call, it's you got to decide. I don't know. I'm trying to decide what would matter to fans. What would matter. That's true.
You don't want to just do it to do it.
Exactly.
But I do have a balancing act because I work for the net, so I can't come. I'm not going to come out and be super ripping people. I just want to give people, teach more basketball, make it enjoyable, all that kind of stuff, So that's where I'm at.
Favorite moment of your career and hobbies outside covering sports?
Favorite moment. I think Toronto Raptors. We beat them in the 7th game of the NBA Finals. Paul Pierce blocked Kyle Lowry's shot, and we won the game, but I handled the game well at the end of the game. The game we're sitting down on the floor. Chris Carino is doing the play-by-play. It's amazing. You're going to say my favorite part of my career, and it's the time I didn't say something. I could when you're down on the floor, you sometimes got to dance around because the coaches are in your way, right? You got to dance around. And Chris was being screened by the coach at the time. I don't even want to get confused, whoever was coaching the Raptors. He's making a call. Lowry down the lane. He's going here. He's going. The last play of the game. The buildup was amazing. But he couldn't see the play. I knew he couldn't see the play. And he goes, but he knew somebody blocked it. The shot was blocked. So game 7 down, he's going, and he kept saying, rejected, right? And I wrote down, Pierce. I wrote down something and put it like this to him. And then he was able to send, after the third rejected, said, Paul Pierce with the block shot, the Nets move on. And so it was my favorite part of being a broadcaster had nothing to do with me talking. It had me working with Chris Carino and making it work. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big part of the job. It's not about how you sound. It's kind of how the broadcast sound, you know. And sometimes in my position, certainly on radio, the play-by-play, you know, sometimes he's oftentimes Batman. You're Robin. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to be jumping around all the time on a big call. Shut up. Let him make the call. All that kind of stuff, you know. So that's my proudest moment. I don't know if it's my favorite. I mean, there were other great basketball moments, but because it was a great game and it was handled well, and I made a difference to the end of the game broadcast, and that really means a lot to me.
Oh, that's great. What are your favorite hobbies outside covering sports when you need a break?
Now it's different, you know. I walk my dog hard every day, man. He's a pain. If I don't tire him out, he's a black lab. I never had a dog my whole life, you know, and I was always scared of him. But now I got a best friend, you know, so I got to walk him. So he takes up a lot of my time. Try to exercise, try to lift weights a little bit. I don't know. Try to read basketball, listen to podcasts. You know, it's what I do. We put them in. I'm going to be listening to us, you know, listening to you now when I'm walking.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of, again, that's another area I didn't know. I didn't know podcasts would be.
Yeah, you had your headphones you thought you were going to put in before the show. You had the.
I thought I would, but
yeah.
You know what I got to do? I got to practice technology because I even get messed up coming on here, you know, like, and
yeah.
I can. Again, I just need to update. You know, it's like you're never too late, and never be a lifelong learner, man.
Update the software up here.
That's right. Yeah, very good. Even better. Even better.
Top music artists of all time. Who are some of your few? You name like 3 to 5. Get to know your music taste a little bit.
I'm wimpy. I like singer-songwriter people, you know. I'm like, but that's kind of come more popular now again. Like in the 70s and 80s, I listen to this guy. My daughter gets me into people. Noah Kahn is a guy now, and I like to listen to like Van Morrison and Jackson Browne. Those are all the oldies, but they all, like, a lot of guys now are singer-songwriters. Ed Sheeran, right? He's a singer-songwriter again. They do all that kind of stuff. I like all dance music. I like all dance and music and all that, but kind of when I'm walking, it's usually something low-key like that. A little bit of country music now. I went to accidentally had to go to a concert with my daughter, and I kind of like that too, modern country music, you know. So I don't know. But I like everything. I like all dance music, all things like that. You know, my wife is a music freak. It's a dancing machine.
That's great. 3 more. Who's Tim Capstraw? How would someone describe him?
Oh, I don't know. I couldn't describe it. It's kind of enthusiastic and fun and,
yep.
I don't know, kind. I don't know. I'm kind of wimpy in my persona. You know, I don't have a real. I don't know. I'm silly. I don't know, but I don't try to be. This was what people tell me.
Hey,
and
charismatic.
I don't know. I guess I have a lot of empathy. I really don't know. I'm appreciative. I have empathy. You know, I don't know. Those are pretty good qualities, I think. I used to think it wasn't tough enough and all this, and now I'm thinking more people should be like me. Like the world got screwed up, and be proud of that you're like that. You know.
Who do you like to see on the show? But you have to help me get them on the show. I have a few people
on this show.
Yeah, on my
show. That I could help you get on.
Yeah, there's a few that we talked about here on the show.
Oh, I don't know. I think some guys do so much. I can't tell them to do that. Iron Eagle's on every podcast.
Yeah.
Sarah can't say no, but she's on everything. She's tough. She's awesome. Yeah. She could try her. Noah Eagle would be one. We didn't talk about him, but he's absolutely awesome and a cool guy. You'd get along with him great too.
Okay.
Because he's in your, you know, he's really that great a guy, and what a brilliant future. Chris Carino, Ryan Rucco, they're all just great guys. You know, I don't. It's hard for me to say exactly. You know, try to get them. Although a lot of them are in demand, so I don't like to overdo it with them. You know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I'll certainly try to help you out. Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah. And then last question.
You come across very real. So that, you know, and your incredible knowledge for your age. It's almost weird.
Hey,
now you have great knowledge of the history of the NBA for a young guy. Yeah. Like you didn't just talk about. I don't know. You did your research. You did your homework. You got it going on. So, you know, if I can help you, I'll definitely help you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, man. And the last question I always love to close up my guests. When people think of the name Tim Capstraw, what do you want your legacy to be?
That I was a really nice person. I'll take nice. My mother used to say, be nice when I leave. Be nice. They think, boy, that guy is really nice. It's nice to be nice, you know, and I'll take. I used to think it was wimpy. I think there's got to be a lot more niceness in the world these days.
Yeah, because you never know what someone's going through at the end of the day. So it doesn't hurt to be kind.
Tell me, yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. Kindness is underrated, man. I don't mean to get deep or whatever, but it's just, you know, it's underrated right now. We got to make that a thing again.
Oh yeah. Well, Tim, this has been an honor to have you here on the show today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule coming on to talk about your journey as a broadcaster and all that. So thank you so much for coming on, man.
Well, you got a bright future, so keep hustling, keep plugging away, and keep in contact, right? I make sure you got my phone number and stuff, okay? Let's keep in touch.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's been the great Brooklyn Nets radio announcer, Tim Capstraw, who's been radio announcing for the Nets for over 20 years. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe, and share anybody you know who loves sports. I'm your host, DJ Hamilton of DJ Sports Show, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here.
I love it. Did you guys call him Professor Roker? We did. Really?